everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new DC Comics Icon 6-inch John Stewart Green Lantern figure from DC Collectibles. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style packaging we see with all the Icons. You've got the window box with the figure clearly displayed. You've got the Icons logo down below, the name of the character off to the side. Also tells us this is figure number 15 in the series. On the very top you have the Green Lantern symbol, and then on the side of the packaging it tells us this figure is based on the Mosaic storyline. On the back of the packaging we have a look at all the figures in the wave. Now the Joker figure is already out. Green Lantern and Firestorm, which we looked at yesterday, will be hitting comic and specialty shops this week on Wednesday, and then the Static figure has been delayed until next year. And then down below it tells us the figure was concept was by Ivan Reyes and sculpted by Paul Harding. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now, first of all, you get the little instruction sheet that shows you how the accessories work on all the figures in this wave. And you do get a number of different accessories with this figure. So first of all, we get the Green Lantern battery to charge his ring, and this is very similar to the one we saw with Hal Jordan. And you've got the little handle, which is plastic, and you can move back and forth. You've got the Green Lantern ring symbol on the top, and it's got the little base on the bottom, and then the inside you've got some clear semi-translucent plastic, and you can see it kind of picks up the light a little bit, which is pretty cool. So again, this is very similar to what we saw with the Hal Jordan Green Lantern figure that we got in this line. Then we get several different pairs of hands. So we get the pair of hands that are on the figure are just gloved white hands that are closed fisted, and you've got the little ring that's just kind of painted on there. It's not a lot of detail with it. It's just kind of a green splotch of paint, but you got that detailing. And then we get a pair of ungloved hands, and again you've got the ring on the right hand, same kind of paint job, just the kind of green circle, no real detail with the ring or anything. And again, this one's closed fisted, and then this hand is open to like hold something. Then finally we get an extra, and you'll notice on these that you not only get the hand but you also get the lower arm piece as well. So with this you can attach, basically pull off there at the lower arm, you got the thicker peg, and then you can just plug in the ungloved hand. And it fits right in nice and tight. Now you can pull out just the hand part on this, and you got the little pegs, but with the ungloved hands there's really not any need to do that. But on the gloved hand you can and would want to pull off this right hand, because you get a second right hand, and basically what they've done is where the ring is, they've just drilled in a hole. So what you want to do, if you want to use the energy effects with this figure, you want to plug in this hand, and then you get 3 different energy effects, and these are done with a green translucent plastic. So this is kind of like, looks like he's shooting out a beam from his ring, and you just plug it into the hole there. Then you get another one that is kind of a stringier type beam. And then you get this third one that's kind of like looks like a star type thing. And again, these are all done with just green translucent plastic. Now if you're wondering if you can use this with the Hal Jordan figure, you can technically. You can take this hand and you can put it on Hal. You can pull his hand out and then plug this in. Now I will say that this John Stewart hand, looks a little big on Hal Jordan. The hand is a little bit bigger, but when you plug in the blast effect, it doesn't, you can't see the hand as much. So I think it looks decent enough if you wanted to give your Hal Jordan figure these blast effects. Now on the flip side of that, if you wanted to give some of the blast effects or Green Lantern effects that came with the Hal Jordan figure, some of them will work. This Hal Jordan figure was a deluxe figure, so we got a number of different types of energy constructs. Now these ones that are like the cannons that you would plug into the arm don't work, because the hole on the construct is not as big as the peg on the John Stewart figure. The peg on the Hal Jordan figure is a little bit smaller, so you can't like attach the arm. But if you wanted to take something like the fist that you got with the Hal Jordan. Now with this one, you actually, if you really wanted to fit it on there decently, you need to take the hand off because the fist is a little bit bigger on this John Stewart figure than on the Hal Jordan. But if you take the fist off, then you can just slide it over, and that works pretty well. And then some of these others, like these armor pieces that you just fit over, like the feet and stuff, those will work as well if you wanted to give that to John Stewart. Should note on these gloved hands, the right hand is closed fisted and the left hand is open, so you could have him hold something just like with the ungloved hand. So for the figure itself, I think they've done a pretty good job capturing the likeness of the character with the face sculpt. The skin tone is decent. Now with the eyes, he does have a little bit of that red in the eyes. He does kind of suffer from that red eye syndrome that we see with many of these icon figures. It doesn't look that bad to me, and you really only notice it when you really look up close to it, but you do again kind of have that with this figure. And then for the rest of the paint applications, it's pretty solid. You've got the metallic green here on the upper part of the costume, and then the striping that goes down his legs to his shoes, and then the rest of the costume is black, and he's got the white gloves. You do have a little bit of black that you can see here where it looks like it should be green where the arm and the shoulder meet, but overall I would say the paint applications are pretty good. And then he's got his Green Lantern symbol here with a little bit of white mixed in with the black and the green. So this figure stands just a little bit over 6 inches tall. Here's a comparison with the Hal Jordan Green Lantern Icons figure, and you can see John Stewart is a little bit taller. And here's a comparison with the Firestorm figure that we looked at yesterday, which is a bit taller, and then the Flash and Superman. I would say Green Lantern and Flash are about the same height, and Superman is a little bit shorter. For articulation, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. He really doesn't have a whole lot of back and forth movement, a little bit, but not a whole lot. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder so you can get his arm out good. And he's got good rotation. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double hinged elbow, so he's got good bending there. He's got swivels at the glove cuff. He's got swivels at the wrist. He's got hinges on the hands, so he's got up and down movement with the hands. He's got a midsection joint, so he's got some rotation there, though it's pretty tight on this figure, but you can rotate. And then he's got a little bit of crunch there, but not a whole lot. He does have an actual ab crunch joint, so he can look down even more there, and he can look back pretty good. Now the legs are attached with ball joints. Now one thing I didn't point out yesterday, and I don't really consider this doesn't really add a whole lot to the figure, but technically you can kind of pull these legs down here at the thigh so they come out a little bit. So I guess that's supposed to give you more leg movement, but again it really doesn't. You know, you can really basically has the same kind of movement as the Hal Jordan Green Lantern figure. So you know, if you want to call that an extra joint, you know, knock yourself out. But to me, it really doesn't add a whole lot to the figure. But technically, you can do that. Same with Firestorm, and I think also with the Joker figure that was released in this wave. But as it is, you can do the splits pretty good. You can get the leg forward pretty good, and you can do the leg out and back. Does not have the thigh swivel. Has a double jointed knee, so he can has good bending there at the knee. Now, one thing I didn't point out, they didn't paint the pegs here on the leg. You can see they're green, whereas the rest of the leg is black, so that does stand out a little bit. On this side they're green, so they match on the front side, but the inner side, you know, they don't match, which isn't a big deal since it is the inner part of the leg. And then for the feet, you got the hinges on the feet, so you've got up and down movement, and you have ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I think this is a pretty decent figure. I like the overall look of it, I like the accessories, and I like how you can plug in the blast effects into the ring on the one hand. It would have been nice maybe if they'd given us a construct as well, but I do like the fact that you can use some of the constructs from the Hal Jordan figure, and that you can also use the blast effects with this figure with Hal Jordan if you switch out the hands. Now the paint applications are decent, but it does suffer a little bit from that red eye syndrome like we've seen with many of the figures. But overall, if you're a fan of John Stewart, I think this is one that you want to add to your collection. So this figure will start hitting comic book shops this week along with the Firestorm figure. The Joker figure is already out, and as I mentioned before, the Static figure has been delayed. I believe it was April of next year, so we do have a ways to go until Static is going to be released. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com for this figure. As always, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll also have links to those in the video description below. And until next time, I'll catch you later.